Hello again, officer.
Hello again.
The worker is in a deep slumber. A colorful piece of plastic is dangling from his carabiner. Makes your fingers itch. It's a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. Santiago S. John. You fumble with the spring-loaded gate of the carabiner, but to no avail. The dangling items refuse to come loose, like fucking sleigh bells. What are you doing? You're
Stop finger-fucking him, officer! I'm responsible for these oafs and their stuff! Even Sleepy there! Fine, fine. Finger bang him then, I don't care.
To be honest, he's correct. Police officers generally...
It was just an idea. Come on, relax everyone. It didn't turn out well. Doesn't mean it...
Can I help you? Thanks. I hope you found what you were looking for. How strange. I certainly didn't put them there. I think fugue states are more your forte, officer. The trash collection service? CS Municipal. I don't see why they would...
Ah, the elusive CS Municipal. I doubt we'll be able to track down who was sent here last and when. This will have to be one of those little threats that solves itself down the road. Thank you anyway.
Sylvie had the keys before I got here, and I can vouch for her. I can vouch for all my stuff. None of us would tamper with the crime scene. Yes?
The man ponders his cooking utensil. You see a heavy steel door. The door does not budge. The old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers. 40, 50 years since this was painted, maybe. You see ahead the old cobalt paint. The door does not budge. The door is closed. This door can only be opened with a key. bed is cold and not particular. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face.
Fuck does Kuno care? Yeah? The kingdom of Kuno? The fuck do you want? Yeah, Kuno doesn't know shit about that. That shit is beneath Kuno. Listen, listen. Kuno doesn't care about this small-time shit. Just listen. Kuno could hook you up with some sweet rags. Shit like Kuno's wearing. Your size, good price. 500 real.
You'd have to be blind not to notice the giant white letters F-A-L-N running down his trouser leg.
Pig, these are found modulars. Liquid fit, performance crotch, urban survival shit. Made in Mirova by scientists. Believe it, you need this shit.
These could drastically improve your chances of survival in the urban wilderness. Coach Physical Instrument endorses these pants. They are tartan ready. They will also make you into an idiot.
Alright, Pico, shit's rolling.
Don't do business with the pig, Kuno.
As you can see, Kuno and C don't trust you. Can't do business without trust.
There's more to his distrust than being a pig. He feels threatened by something obscure in you. What that is, however, remains a puzzle for now.
The fuck? A mug in the trash? Is this about the fucking clothes again? Yeah, Kuno sees where this is going. Kuno's got that fast brain. You saying you pigs are after the mug fucker? Cause...
I can't hear you, Kuno. Speak louder, Kuno.
Shit, that's tense. Someone's going to the beat-down basement, huh? Mug guy gonna get tied to the radiator. Kuno doesn't know who put that shit in there. And if he did, he wouldn't squeal. But...
Stop turning into a pig, Kuno. They're trying to get you hooked on the snitching. Get away from my Kuno.
Yeah, get your bacon shit away. Kuno doesn't like to be seen with the popo. Get your shit done and out of Kuno's face. Yeah, whatever. Kuno doesn't give a shit. Kuno doesn't fucking...
tarpaulin cloak with possible RCM markings is still caught on the railing. As you leap in the air, a chilly breeze engulfs you, sharpening your senses. As the concrete floor welcomes you, you realize it's been a while since...
I knew you could do it. My climbing down might not have been as disco as your jump, but at least we can explore the...
With your feet firmly planted on the concrete, the noise...
Yes?
This is the night watchman's booth. Listen, it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself. Sit down and have a breather.
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty...
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean and their sparse contents meticulously organized. It's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform. René looks like he's about to smile. This photo must...
Why did you take that picture of René? You're really interested in that old soldier. Not sure I understand your fascination, but sure, as long as it doesn't take up a whole lot of time.
The chair is not as austere as the rest of the booth. A thin grey pillow is attached to the seat, secured to the stiles by black ribbons. Stale air floods through your nostrils. Not a single mote of dust floats inside your lungs. The drawers are empty, save for old timesheets and receipts. One small box, however, does hold some cheap painkillers. They are slightly out of date. Oh boy, where to start? Elevated? Maybe this was a bad...
I'm not here to tell you what to do, detective.
You take the painkillers. They are yours now. You stand and... An imposing combination of a punch clock and a payphone is looking down at you. The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesel. From the sides of his head appear because white antlers are one of the symbols of communism. They represent a society in accord with the natural world and at the same time above it. Because Friesel was incompetent, foolish, and cruel. In short, the embodiment of everything the commune arts. To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. Just after rifling the pages with your thumb several times, the magazine is divided into several sections. International developments, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just inside the cover, there's also an editor's note. Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, Du cristal à la fumée. This was his way of describing the way, but like the structures of capitalist ideology, we too are at risk of going à la fumée. Unlike many publications which are content to spoon-feed their readers reassuring drivel, La Fumée is committed to telling the radical truth, even when that truth may drive away potential subscribers. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, culture, and international affairs, please consider subscribing today. Yours in struggle, the editors.
What do you expect? It was laying around the office of the Debarders Union.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents unfolds before you. This section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round. You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even You flip back to the front of the magazine. It takes a moment, but gradually it dawns on you. As you leaf through this section, you come across several reviews of recent radio plays. As well, the main feature, though, is a long essay titled Tip Top Tournée, a critical Mazovian perspective. This so-called artist spotlight is really just a brief Q&A, made all the briefer by the subject's evident hostility to her interviewer. The actual article is surprisingly light on details, but if you don't follow it, you only ever hear about the ludicrous sponsorships and obscene death toll. You think you're settling in for a relaxing recap of the most recent season, maybe sprinkled. Instead, you find yourself skimming a 10,000-word feature about all the politically problems. Where to even start? For one, there's the crass commercialism of its sponsorships. And then there's the practically criminal emphasis on deadly motor crashes. Oddly enough, this article has two bylines. Nasteb and Kaladab. There's no way those are real names. Have you ever met anyone named Exilus? Come on. Under capitalism, the article says, every pursuit has its price. Every pleasure, even one. Thus, the so-called tournée becomes a competition between increasingly meaningless brand signifiers. Your discount laundry detergent racing against a pack of Astra cigarettes. And that precisely is what's problematic about it. Were it not for the promise of random at the end of the day, it's the destruction of these 750,000 real races that you're really watching for. Sure, you think that, but subconsciously. That's because you haven't been reading critically. But don't worry. The whole point of these sorts of articles is to let some...
Ah, come on. Can this article read your mind? A certain kind of young man reads 1 or 2 books and suddenly thinks he understands the secret structure. If I had to wager, I'd say they've never even seen the inside of a motor, much less a motor race.
You flip back to the front of the magazine. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring unqualified support. You skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city in revolt. First, we take Martinez. Then we take... Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. The eternal problem, according to G. Martin, is that under capitalism, the worker is rendered incapable of perceiving their own agency or lack thereof. Thus, they tend to experience their own oppression as though it were happening to somebody. Is that true? Have you felt estranged? You flip back to the front of the magazine. On second glance, someone has forgotten to...
It's unfortunate for the Union to just...
Let's see what's inside, he thinks. The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is hundreds of documents containing logistical data. 2 kinds of transactions stand out. Materials coming into Revachol, and the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Couron, Coal City, La Delta. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little... It appears to be a to-do list written in large, Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everard's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
What is so special about this borscht? Code for drugs? Booze? Remember, Leo, Everard's shoes, special whirling borscht, water All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself, the drawer slides shut. The already familiar cold touch of plastic welcomes you as you pick up the handset. Control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marche and Arrête are faded with you. Allumer on, éteindre off. The lyrics to this container song are being made up. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi, from the vanishing peninsula of Ubisund.
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Everard, 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 he looks after everyone. Huh? Well...
The look in its deep blue eyes is as sincere as you've ever seen. Kind of makes...
I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Oh yes, born and raised in Irish, mister. Mum had to leave my dad after he got a bit violent. Took us here to the new world. I was about 10 then. People say us Ubies are up to all sorts of trouble with sheep and other animals and whatnot. I just want you to know there was never any of that where I come from.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir.
Oh, I'm just making some covers for them containers here. Yes I am, yes I am. So it's easier for the crane operators to spot them. Sure, mister. About what? Oh, most of the guys are down at the gates, keeping the scabs from coming in. We're on a strike. The whole union is. You don't have to work when you're on strike. Ha! We haven't worked.
So no one is working?
Not everyone is down there, of course. Mr. Evrard is in his office, where he always is. And Jean-Luc, but Titus and his boys got into some drunken trouble and Evrard sent them on a nice vacation. For a week or so. Oh, I'm not really supposed to talk about that. That's Union. Him and his boys stirred up something in town. Probably drank too much and got into a fight or something. I heard Mr. Everett telling them to take some time off. I guess the boys got a bit too rowdy and had to let out some steam. I don't really know the details. That's just how boys are, you know. I haven't been in...
Easy, Leo. Let's keep this on the hearties.
Too late. Leo's mouth is still moving, and the words are spewing forth. Words. Now he's talking about some drunk sawmill owner who... No. He already switched to a prized fishing rod he apparently owned at some point. You know what?
Yes, yes. Everybody needs a job, and this is mine. I'm Leonard, by the way. Leonard Bellick. But everyone, I'm like Mr. Everett's right-hand man when Mr. Edgar is out of town. And Actually, Miss Beaufort is the right-hand man, but she's a lady.
Who is this, Miss Beaufort?
A real pretty lady with a skin like those Douai Sucre candy bars my missus likes so much. Them are real nice to suckle, but I can't listen to the radio all the time. There's so much to do around here, and I'm always busy keeping things running here. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Oh, Lizzie, she is a real sharp tool. Mr. Everett put her through some fancy school and everything, east of the river. 4 years she was gone, and when she came back, she was all but she's a real nice girl. Grew up in this here neighborhood, knows everybody and gets...
For a fraction of a second, this sadness...
If me missus and me was to have a child, I'd be real happy if she turned out like her. Dr. Lemaitre said so, and she knows about such things. Been a doctor for almost 50 years, she has.
So Everett trained a lawyer named Miss Beaufort. Interesting.
Yes, this place really seems to run like clockwork. Keep it up, Leo.
Well, thanks a lot. Coming from you, it means a lot, really. Sometimes I feel some of the guys don't really get how much I bust my ass for them here. But you...
The white rectangle on your clothes might not mean an awful lot in Martinaise, but the recognition from an authority figure made Leo's day.
Oh, yes, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping... Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the...
Power borscht, huh? Never heard of a bush that turns little guys into dogfighters. Alcohol, however.
Yes, yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that, yes?
He didn't actually understand what you meant, and now he's just nodding along.
Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up. Oh, you want Mr. Everard then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and his brother are both nice fellows. They've lived their entire lives in this here neighborhood. Guys like Mr. Everard and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Mr. Everard and Mr. Edgar and I went to the same school we did when we were boys. Oh, Mr. Everard is usually in his office, of course. But you gotta be quick if you want to see him. He leaves around 10 p.m. Bye-bye now.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. With great effort, he straightens himself up.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me.
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol citizens...
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or
No,
cool? I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comically oversized novelty check to a cafeteria manager. But now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that.
his slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun.
I know everything, Harry. Right now, I know that you're worried. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe...
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded. God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are gonna shoot themselves with it. You want to cry? God, you're weak. Whatever you do, don't...
Mr. Dubois, you...
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you okay?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
Don't be dramatic. I can see your condition.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid...
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him questions. Police officer questions.
Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me, but there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange...
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do...
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors.
I'm not sure I understand. If you're asking us to break down someone's door, it's not...
Come now, I just need you to go open a little door for me and leave it unlocked.
Does this jiggling ooze think he's going to use you? He's got another thing coming. Play his game, son, with your eyes peeled. He's going to slip up, and when he does, you're going to come out on top.
Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run a...
You want to send someone a message that the police are...
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I must occasionally enlist outside... Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, they start acting foolishly. Just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business with you. Harry, my dear friend, I am what people call a local bigwig. I know everything that goes on in Martinez. Of course, Harry, I understand. But if that's the case, I don't think we'll ever find your gun. Even worse, perhaps this was just bad timing for you. Know that you can always come back to me. I really hope you do. For your...
Yes, we both understand what...
This may be the only way, he thinks. I won't hold it against you. In fact, we probably should reconsider later.
Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage. Who knows? Only one thing is certain. If you work with him, you're going to get it back. And working with him might be the only way to do it.
I don't care about my gun. I love it, Harry. Wish I could be like that, but I can't. I have a responsibility to this community.
The officer is exaggerating. Of course we care about the missing firearm, and we are
Excellent, Mr. Kitsuragi. That's excellent news. Looks like we have a friendly gun-finding competition on our hands. Of course. Let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me Everard, I call... My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you?
I think the odds of that are very low.
I assure you, there's nothing to be ashamed of, Harry. You're among friends, and the good news is... I have a big fat folder on you, Harry. I'm sure you have a lot of questions to ask. Maybe I can help you out. I'm sure you had some concerns you thought I might be able to address. And you were probably right.
It's just a brown folder. You can't make...
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Everard's large hands are covering the folder, but the look on his face says, I know everything about you, Harry.
Oh, Harry. Oh, wow. This is really something.
I'm sure it's not that bad. At worst, he has an old RCM folder, and I
So how about it, Harry? You need assistance, I presume? Ah, this? My friends in your organization...
I find that very...
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm sure you understand. Please continue, Harry. It says... Oh yes, very interesting. It says you're more like a mad prophet than a cop. Always rambling about the end of the world. I'm sure these stories are exaggerated. Of course, Harry. Sin, blood, death, catastrophic loss of life. All those things. And that's why you and I must be prepared. So let's talk about how we can help each other. It's Harry. Harry Dubois. Don't be silly, Harry. Harry Dubois... Mr. Kitsuragi doesn't seem even slightly empathetic to your family. Harry, you're not a family man. There's not one peep of family in here. Unless you think you're a family man. Do you strike yourself as a family man, Harry? Family, Harry, is the most important thing in the world. But of course, Harry, your precinct is the 41st and you live in Jamrock. You're a Jamrock boy. Of course, Harry, of course. Let's not linger on personal details and amnesia. You wanted something from me. Harry, honestly, I'm just relieved you didn't get a hernia. A man your age...
The big man peers at you over the rims of his glasses for a moment.
Anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before I even get the chance to request it. Wait, you need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white union.
With great effort, he straightens himself up.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois. I'd offer you...
He looks at
You go ahead, detective.
whatever he has in store for you. It can't forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff?
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. Very well, Mr. Dubois. I respect a man with strong I, too, have convictions. One of which is that I will... Should you find yourself more amenable in the future, I'd gladly resume our conversation. But until then, I'm afraid...
You're no Titan of Elysium, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Mr. Dubois, I hope... Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse...
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it.
Very well, Miss... I, too. Should you...
You're no Titan of Elysium, buddy.
Mr. Dubois, have a good day, Mr. Dubois. I'm sure... Please, Mr. Dubois. Very well, Mr. Dubois. I, too. Should you find your...
You're no Titan of Elysium.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the department...
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain... This should take... It should be sufficient.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Okay. I respect them. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun.
His slug. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun.
Are you all right, Harry? You say you got there. It's not like you...
It was loaded. There were 2 bullets in it. You always keep at least 2 barrels loaded.
Officer, we will deal with this later.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because...
Mr. Dubois.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck down. Chill.
Mr. Dubois. Mr. Dubois. Harry. Mr. Dubois, are you okay?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow. In a kind of throw-in motion. Like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
Don't be dramatic. I can't...
What an odd demonstration.
Okay, enough. We are...
Quick, here's your window. It is about time to stop embarrassing yourself. Questions will help you regain some of your lost dignity.
Wait. You need this to get in and out. Here.
Yes?
No trouble at all, mister. No trouble at all. It's like that old...
Control panel. Elysium on, it on with a loud grind. The crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet, the harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest again, now that its purpose has been fulfilled. Moving this container, of course. For this purpose it was built. For this purpose it has acted.
I can't see how that was worth the ruckus, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was satisfying.
Before you stands a cargo container. Just one.
You do? There are 1 million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? You just picked one out because you wanted... We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to talk to the...
You attempt to turn the handle. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. No reply. The knock produces a hollow ring of metal. Doesn't sound like there's anything inside the container. Before the cargo can... You attempt to your left. The lieutenant considers your action.
for something? Oh man, that's great. Look at that. God damn. Thanks for that, but no, it's...
The tear machine your bottles clunk into the machine and the money appears.